Operation Blue Lotus is a DHS-led coordinated surge effort to curtail the flow of illicit fentanyl smuggled into the United States from Mexico and bring to justice the dangerous criminal organizations profiting from the illegal production, distribution, and sale of this dangerous substance. The operation includes an increase in targeted inspections conducted by CBP officers, Border Patrol and HSI agents, canine units, and advanced technology. We have HSI personnel at ports of entry co-located with CBP officers so that they can immediately pursue investigations as contraband is discovered. In addition to more arrests, the ultimate goal is to dismantle the larger criminal networks. In its first week, Operation Blue Lotus has already resulted in 18 seizures, 16 federal arrests, and 2 state arrests, and stopped more than 900 pounds of fentanyl, over 700 pounds of methamphetamine, and over 100 pounds of cocaine from entering the United States. Operation Blue Lotus builds on joint efforts like Operation Sentinel and Joint Task Force Alpha. Those collective efforts have resulted in 74 U.S. convictions of members of human trafficking organizations, foreign government charges against more than 200 individuals, over 107,000 disruption activities, and over 8,800 arrests. The work does not stop at our borders. The challenges posed by the illicit synthetic drug supply chain are global and require an international effort to address. We collaborate with strategic partners in the United States and abroad. We have lost too many Americans to fentanyl and other illegal drugs, and it will take all of us working together to put an end to it. I am grateful to the extraordinary men and women of U.S. Customs and Border Protection for the heroic work they do. It is my pleasure to introduce Governor Hobbs.
Thank you so much, Secretary Mayorkas, and thank you for being here today. I'm grateful for your time and your attention on Arizona and the issues that our communities are facing. I also want to thank the Arizona Border Counties Coalition, as well as leaders from El Rio Community Health Center and Casa Alitas, who I met with today. We had a lot of important and necessary discussions related to Southern Arizona. Among those discussions were ways we can accelerate economic development opportunities and provide health care and resources to vulnerable communities. My administration is meeting with a wide range of folks because we understand that there are so many people working on these issues. My visit wouldn't be complete without addressing the fentanyl crisis that we just heard a little bit about. Last year, 1,773 Arizonans lost their lives to opioid overdose. Nearly all of these cases involve synthetic opioids like fentanyl. The only way out of this crisis is through partnership between state, local, tribal, and federal governments and stakeholders. In recent years, Arizona has taken major steps to prioritize access to information, tools for harm reduction, and substance abuse treatment. But drug supply responds to drug demand, and we need to work together to address the flow of drugs across our state, local, tribal, and international borders. Secretary Mayorkas, Arizona is ready and willing to do everything it takes to keep our communities safe, and I look forward to partnering with you and our counterparts in Mexico to secure our ports of entry and to advance policies that address the root causes of drug abuse and trafficking. Thank you.
Secretary Mayorkas, thanks for coming out here to Southern Arizona. The question I had is, in the next couple of weeks, really, Title 42 is going to end. What are things that DHS has done to prepare for that program to end? And what are the programs going to do to actually deal with the surge of migrants, but also make sure that people are able to get asylum if they request it?
So we have been planning for the end of Title 42 since September of 2021. We issued a 6-point plan that ranged from some of the criminal activities that I described briefly now to surging personnel, resources, transportation, facilities, increasing efficiencies, working with local, state partners. We have a multi-part plan that we announced in September of 21. We've been working day in and day out since then. We refreshed that plan. We supplemented it in April of 2022, and that work has continued to date. As you know, we've issued a notice of proposed rulemaking in response to which we've sought comments. The comment period is now closed. We're evaluating those comments, which makes important changes to our asylum system, which is designed to really preserve the institution of asylum, which we are so proud of, but at the very same time, cut out the smuggling organizations that exploit migrants and at their most vulnerable of time. The model is to build safe, legal, and orderly pathways and to deliver a consequence for those who do not avail themselves of the pathway. But ultimately, foundationally, we must have Congress pass legislation to fix what is a broken system.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Mareri Ruiz. I'm a reporter with Univision Arizona. I have a two-part question. The first one is, since we're talking about the migrants and Title 42 ending, are you planning on visiting other parts of Arizona, border parts where migrants are coming in through not the ports of entries, but pretty much like the Yuma sector, where they're just coming in and going forward to border patrols to get, some type of refugee?
So I have visited over the past 2 years the border more than 15 times, I believe it is. I have visited Arizona, different parts of Arizona during my prior trips. I don't have any concrete plans in the days ahead, but certainly we evaluate that as things develop in preparation for the end of Title 42.
And my second part to another question is, I know fentanyl, we're having a crisis right now, but it's known that xylazine is being added to some fentanyl pills. Do you have any comments on that?
So let me say that the fentanyl crisis that we are experiencing in this country has been building year over year for quite a number of years. And in fact, we are watching the precursor chemicals that are used to manufacture fentanyl and also that are included in the composition of synthetic opioids that create such danger, such fatality for people throughout the country. We are tracking that chemical specifically. This port of entry has what we call a forward operating lab, the equipment and the scientists to analyze the substances as we interdict them here to assist in the prosecution of the traffickers. It is a monumental shift and an example of how we are taking it to the cartels, to the traffickers, and we will not stop.
Yeah, sure. I actually had a question for the governor.
Yeah.
If she had a second. This is your third visit to the border since taking office. Obviously, you're putting a focus on this. I just want to know, during these visits, what's changed for you, the biggest thing you've learned by touring and traveling to the border so many times? And subsequently, second question, are you still committed to defunding or disbanding the border strike force?
Sure. So I think more than anything, my visits to the border and talking with community leaders has just reinforced what we already knew, that we need partnership to address the many complex issues we're facing as a border state and that our border communities face. I'm grateful for the Secretary for joining me here so we could talk about ways to partner with the federal government on this issue. In terms of the Border Strike Task Force, what our budget proposes to do is reallocate those funds where they can be most purposeful. And I've said this before, recent reporting has indicated it's not a force, it's not striking at the border, so we can repurpose those dollars where they can be most beneficial in terms of coordinating law enforcement response at the border.
Question for both Governor Hobbs and Secretary Mayorkas. Thank you. Question for both the governor and the secretary. Governor, you said you met with humanitarian organizations, including Casa Alitas, today. Are there plans to build a second facility down in southern Arizona to deal with the influx of migrants expected with the end of Title 42? And Secretary, if you have some comments, please feel free.
I'm not aware of those plans.
We had an incredibly productive meeting with Casalitas and a number of organizations that, to the governor's critical point, evidence the power and the capability of partnership. No one organization can do this alone. We had individuals from a whole series of organizations, not just in Tucson, but in Phoenix and the like, that bring different capabilities to bear to address the needs of individuals who have claimed asylum in the United States.
Daniel Torres from Mars Medios in Nogales, Sonora. This is a two-part question as well. The first one is, from the Mexican side coming to the U.S., we are seeing a lot of people get into the borders to try to get through the border with the CBP One app for the asylum seekers. Is there any plan, or do you have any numbers that you can share about the efficiency of that process? How is that process going?
So let me give you an example of the efficiency of the CBP One app. And let me take a step back and share with you the history of the CBP One app. When we first took office, when President Biden first took office, what we inherited was a completely dismantled immigration system, and we saw tremendous tragedy and trauma all along the border. And one of the things that we did see was a camp where people were suffering very acutely in Mexico, in Matamoros. And we used the CBP One app as a way for those individuals to make an appointment at a port of entry, using community-based organizations in Mexico to allow them to travel safely to that port of entry, and we closed down that camp. Picking up on that model, we have now used the CBP One app to process individuals who qualify for exemptions from the Title 42 order. We are now processing approximately 740 people a day through that exemption process using CBP One app. It's a powerful example of its utility and efficiency.
Hi, question for the Secretary. Hi, Governor. Secretary, I'm Stacy Barchinger. I'm with the Arizona Republic newspaper out of Phoenix. I wanted to ask you about, our prior governor, Governor Ducey, was frankly very critical of your leadership. We never saw you and him together down here at the border. We've elected a new governor who has pledged today and previously to be a partner with the federal agencies to combat the crises that you guys have mentioned here today. I wonder if that shift in tone is significant for you and what it means in terms of working together going forward.
I'm incredibly grateful for Governor Hobbs's invitation to come to Arizona. As I mentioned, it's not my first visit. Immediately when Governor Hobbs took office, she extended that invitation to me. We spoke. I think it's a powerful example of what we can do together when we work together. There is strength in partnership. We can deliver results when we work together. Collaboration is the key to address very, very complex challenges that have persisted for years and years. Let me end by saying that I hope that partnership is something that we can extend as we reach arms out to Congress and seek to work together to formulate legislative solutions to address what is fundamentally a broken immigration system.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.